Hello and welcome to another video, and today we are looking at the Fieldwork update, which is just released for Space Engineers 1. We're also going to take a look at the Fieldwork Pack, which is the paid DLC, and see whether or not it's worth your purchase. So to start off, we have one of the new cargo ship encounters. I'll talk about this in a bit more detail. I've got a few other ones that I've captured and brought down to my showcase area, but this one was flying by, so might as well take a look at it before it goes away. This is a mobile shipyard, and it has a semi-built ship attached underneath it as it is flying along. So let us pop down out of spectator camera to my character here, and that mobile shipyard will continue flying away as we can take a look at our showcase platform. As always, I've set up every single block that is in the update, with one side here on the left being the free content, and the other side on the right here being the paid content, part of the Fieldwork Pack. So we're going to take a look at the free stuff first, and then we'll take a look at the paid stuff, and then ask that question at the end, is it worth your money? Is there anything else they could change to this? Maybe add some future things, because they tend to do that, and they did it as well for this particular update. They added some blocks to a previous update, a previous DLC. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's start off with projectors. Now, they've done a lot of quality of life updates for existing content. So these are not a lot of new blocks, but it's a lot of really awesome changes that'll make things just better and easier for you to play with. This one with projectors makes it so much easier to understand which way the projector is facing. Where previously you would just have to remember that the one that has like this has 3 clasps, therefore this means it's the top or whatever it was. Because honestly, I even forget what it is on projectors. I just sort of place the projector and screw around until I get it lined up. They've made it very clear now with great big L for left, R for right, and so you can very quickly tell that, okay, if that's the right and this is the left, obviously this would be the top if I'm looking at it in that orientation, and that would be forward, this face, because, that's towards Mars, set up that way. It's just so much easier. And so it's like that for both the large grid, and we also have the small grid projector is the same way. If we come down here, we can see the L and we can see the R. Excellent. Projectors, so much easier to orient now. Moving on, we have this small grid, small auction tank. And have you ever had that situation where this small grid auction tank, this was the ones we've had for a long time, this is just a little too big, right? I mean, at this point, why not just have an H2O2 generator? Because it's actually physically smaller than the tank. Just have the generator instead is more useful. So there wasn't really a use for this large auction tank. Well, introduce this tiny little guy. Oh, he's so cute. And he holds actually a decent amount of oxygen. We've got 3,000 liters, where the normal auction tank here has 50,000. Like, you don't need that much oxygen on a small ship. This is perfect for like an escape craft, a shuttle, a fighter that just needs to go out and go for a little while without having to resupply and then come back, and it docks with its mothership and then recharges there. Perfect for your small grid building to add that little bit of oxygen. Next up, we have the large grid small connector. So we've had the small connectors for a while already, and we are able to use those on our small ships in order to connect up with a smallest grid possible, one by one small grid. So now we can make our little drones that have these small grid connectors, and they can swoop in and they can dock at these points on our large grids. So that is excellent. We'll be able to connect those grids. And for conveyorage through this thing, I believe if I get out our connector here, a small grid inset connector, we have it. There is the small port there. Then there is a large port on one side, just that one side, and then a large port on the back. So it's very similar to the other inset connector, where it has just the two ports at 90-degree angles. One is a pass-through from the connector on the opposite side, and one is on a 90-degree from there. Awesome little block to use. Next up is the refill station, and this is going to be very useful. The refill station has both two large grid versions and a small grid version. The large grid version is an inset one, so I sent that flying. We'll get that back in here in a second. Large grid version is an inset one with connections all the way around, so it's like a conveyor junction, but with one face being this refill port, and the other is just a small attachment that you can put on any open conveyor slot that you have. So if you don't want to make it an actual inset version, you can just plop this on any exposed conveyor. These will restore your O2, your power, your H2 when you draw from them. Important to note, it will not restore your health. These are not mid bays. So this is just for, I'm flying around my ship, I have one of these on the outside of my ship, I don't need to go back inside and go to my med bay in order to restore my hydrogen, so I can continue flying around and working on my ship. From my understanding as well, these are accessible from anybody, like outside of your faction. So that way, if you have people come and visit, or you make like a trading post or something like that on a multiplayer server, you could have these available so people can recharge their character's inventory without having it sharing your med bay with them, which I think is going to be very useful. Next up, we have a new Protote block, the Protote Fusion Reactor. Now, this is really cool because this uses hydrogen to make power. Yes, no longer do we need a bunch of uranium at high levels in order to get reactors to be able to create the intense amount of power that you would want. This is a Protote fusion reactor, and it's taking that hydrogen and it's fusing it and using it up in order to create intense amounts of power. You got 400 megawatts, and we've got I'm not sure what the maximum use of hydrogen per second is. I am in creative, so it's not using that much fuel obviously right now, but hydrogen is way easier to find than uranium, so this thing is going to be very useful, and that is definitely going on to my list for the blocks I need to find in my Protote pursuit. In terms of connection ports, we've got one connection port in the back, and if we grab it here, we can check to see if there is, yes, there is one connection port on the bottom, one on the back. So 2 connection ports should be not too hard to pipe up. Another quality of life feature is this set thruster overrides. So now we actually have, and we're going to go through several override things here for thrusters, lights, wheels, etc., etc. You can set overrides using buttons, using event controllers, timers, etc. Anywhere where you can send a message to the block, you can now do an override. So we can find our hydrogen thruster here. We can pull it onto this toolbar, and you can see now we have a set override percentage as an option. When we do this, we can say, I want to set this to be 0, and we override 0. Okay, and I'm going to do it onto the second button as well. And let's go set override, say 50, and it'll automatically set a label, but you can change this as you wish. And then the last one here, let's set override 100% and save it. Now what I can do is I can look at these and say, let's go 0. Okay, well, it's already at 0, so nothing's going to change. We can set to 50. Oh, and it's on 50% override. Set to 100. And we're burning. We're burning, baby. And then I can just set it back down. I think this is going to be pretty useful for a few different automated things where, say, for example, if you wanted to have something set on override and you wanted it to be triggered by some event, like an event controller, you would need to have the block be off and have the override set at what you wanted. And then when it's ready and you want it to do the thing, you turn the block on. And you're not able to have the block be on and available until you want it to be overriding at a very specific amount. So this would allow you to, say, have like a, when you fire a missile or something, you could have an override kick in a few seconds later. You drop the missile from your like a player-made weapon, a player-made missile, you drop it from your spacecraft, it will fall off for a few seconds, and then it'll click into full override, something like that. So I think this is going to be quite useful to be able to set some overrides and maybe even do it, some like an ascent controller where you can have a whole bar that is set up at different levels of overrides. You can just move between them easily using your 1 to 9 keys for the 10% overrides and such. Who knows? I can see a few uses for this. It'd be quite helpful. Although this one I'm excited for. There was actually a script that I used to use way back when I did like my overly spinny reactor core thing. There was a script that allowed you to change light values, so what color the light is, from a script pull. And so you're able to have that work and change the light values based on what was happening on your grid. Now you can do that through vanilla. So we can go here, we go to our light here, our inset light, and we can go and say, oh, we want to set color. Now I can go here and I can just say, I want to go full red. And I'm just going to call this red. And let's go again here. Let's go different set colors. We'll go full green. It says lime for some reason. All right. And we'll go full blue as well. And now what we can do is we can just go and click the button and the light automatically changes. In their example that they did in the preview trailer, they had it so that like it was red on a dock, and as soon as the ship docked and latched, the lights turned to green. That is a perfect example of what to do with this. You could have this be warning lights, can be all sorts of stuff. But as things occur, you can have lights that can come on and off and change color based on, like, red alerts, like freaking Star Trek kind of stuff. It's like, go to red alert, and all the lights change color. You can have a red alert button in your ship that will turn all your lights to red now. That is awesome. Moving on to wheel overrides. We can now, when we go to our wheel here, we can set our steer override, our propulsion override, and I'm not sure if there's any other set values here, but at least these are the two I know of. So you can go on here, I can set, let's just say set 0% steer, sure, and I can go here and I can just set steer override, let's say 45%. And so I can go click, and the thing will automatically go to 45% steering. We can also do that with our propulsion to set it to go a specific speed if we want. So we can go in here, drop it down to set propulsion override, say we'll have it at 0 so we can stop it, and that's 0%. So we want to go to, say, 100%, and we can turn on the override and it'll start spinning. And we can stop our override, and it'll slow down ever so slowly because there isn't much braking force on there. We're in space. It's going to spin until something tells it to stop. I off the top of my head, I don't see as many uses for this. Possibly there could be some stuff with people that create like monorail trains that want their wheels moving at certain speeds at certain points. That might be very helpful for them. You could have this, like, one thing that popped into my mind, which would be like really funny, would be to make like those auto parking cars where it, like, you auto parallel park, where you go into position and then like the car automatically backs up and turns in and then pulls forward into the slot. I think if you set up a series of timer blocks with these on different overrides, you could do that. You could have it like turn the wheels a certain amount, back up for so many seconds, turn the wheels, back up some more, turn the wheels the other way, pull into the slot. You could make it function, and it would be silly. But there's going to be some useful things for here for people that use these wheels to do fine motions with, like how I built my space elevator, how people build train systems and tram systems with wheels and such. Probably very useful in that case. And then this, for our AI grids and such, we have the ability to set their block speed. So if we go to the AI and pull it down here, we can set our speed limit. I think this would be very useful at different points within your trip that you're recording, so that you're able to say, like, oh hey, when we get to this waypoint, set speed limit to be this, because I am going into dock, so I don't want to have a high speed limit. I want to go in with a low speed limit. So that would be quite useful. Moving on. Experimental mode has changed. This is very important. Mods are no longer considered experimental. However, this is very important. These are off by default. There are new options for the share inertia tensor, unsafe piston impulses, and unsafe rotor impulses. So, we have to quit out of here. Go save and quit. If we go back into our game here, we're loading in. We go to our showcase and go edit settings. We go to advanced. Down here, we have new options. Share inertia tensor, enable unsafe piston impulses, and enable unsafe torques. So, if you're used to having like inertia tensor for your pistons and such, you need to go and enable it on your saves and your servers. You have to go and do this. It's off by default. So go make those changes. Alright, as we're loading back in here, we can continue on to action slot UI improvements. So what I mean by this is when you go into, say, like an event controller, and we go select actions, we can see down here, we now have a check mark and an X, and this little bit here says event toolbar for event controller, slot 1 when true, slot 2 when false. Ooh, well that's quite nice. But it gets better. We go in here and we say, I don't know, let's go, where's the door? Because I found that one very useful. Door finished, open, closed. Then we go back to select actions. It says here slot 1 when opened, slot 2 when closed. So it's so obvious what will happen when specific actions are done. So now let's take a look at another one of these. We've got the open, closed. Let's go block added, removed, select actions, when added, when removed. It's so obvious. The left slot is on the positive, the right slot is on the negative of the particular action you're checking for. Way easier to tell, and much better for new players. Multiple GPS selection. So if we go into our GPS menu here, and we just go and spam a bunch of new GPS points, I can select multiple of them now. And while I can't change their name or their description, what I can do is toggle whether or not they show on HUD. No longer do we have to go through and go double click each one in order to turn them all off. Do it all at once. And you can also select multiple and then change their icon. Select these ones, change it to something else. Select these ones, change it to something else. So easy. So now I've got my little plethora of signals right there that we're able to change around while selecting them. Ah, beautiful. Moving on, we have terrain clearing mode. So you probably know that if you have a drill and you're in control of that drill, if you left click, you mine resources. And if you right click, you clear terrain. But if you just went to a drill and you just turned it on, and I'm just using the mod build vision, just so people know, this is stuck in the left click mode. So for unattended purposes, it would only collect resources. You couldn't clear terrain with this, which, I mean, it worked for drill rigs and stuff like that, but sometimes you just want to get stuff out of the way, or maybe you want to build a machine that tunnels in somewhere. You'd have to deal with all the stone you were gathering and throw it out the back, and it's just a pain in the ass. Now what you can do is you can go into the menu here, and you can go down and click Terrain Clearing Mode. Forces the drill to clear terrain instead of collecting materials when the drill is toggled on. Does not affect manual control of the drill. So useful. We're able to now make an automated little machine that is capable of clearing terrain for us. Excellent. Moving on. We have search fields. Very, very useful. And we're going to need a few more GPS here to be able to show this off. Search fields, admin menus, entity list, and spawn menu. So if I go Alt F10, and I have my entity list here, and oh my god, I'm not sure where this thing is. I know I have a tug. Somewhere there's a tug. Search for tug. Press enter. There, look. Tug drone, tug container. We'll look at that thing in a second as I am right behind it right here. But you're able to just search for it. So much easier. So much easier. As well as with your spawn menu, you can go in here, go to your... no, it's not Alt F10, that's Shift. Shift F10 is your spawn menu. So say I wanted to... Oh man, I need a particular item and I want to search through this. I just need some zone chips. Zone chips. So easy, so often, so awesome, very useful. We also have the same searches for conveyor sorters and stuff. So say you're setting up a sorter and you don't want to have to hold this and like search through here for a particular thing. You just want to get like artillery shells. Sorter for artillery shells. Easy. As well, for the jump drive, if we go and open it up here, I wanted to go to number 4. There it is. Of course, this would work if you know, be actually useful if you had more than 5 GPS locations. But if you know what I mean, you want to go to find home base. You search in home and it'll show home base and your GPS locations. Perfect. So useful and easy. And get rid of all those at once, because we can select multiple now. Then, the last major update, major free thing, is the encounter overhaul. Now, this is both for unknown signals. I don't believe I've had any unknown signals spawn in this world yet, so I can't really show them off. And also cargo ship encounters. And I am thoroughly excited about this, because this was something that I was finding in my Protote playthrough, was there was a distinct lack of a mid game where it was like early game, some of the little outposts and the unknown signals, and then late game, the giant Protote facilities. And it was like, okay, there's nothing in between. The in-between is kind of boring. This adds the in-between, where you have these medium-sized encounters for you to fight and for you to take and for you to salvage. So this guy showed up. This is the little tug, and he's got a little cargo container. And if we pop this open, we can see that there's a container in there with some loot. We got 27 solar panels and 164 platinum, which isn't that bad. Now, I stole these all with my admin powers on here, but they would obviously fight back. This has got a turret, and it's got a Gatling on the front. This has got a assault cannon, as well as an fixed artillery. And when I approached this guy actually spawned in to fight. When he's got assault, a railgun, an autocannon, he's got a little bit of everything. You didn't have that, though. That was me piloting him into position. Ignore the man behind the curtains. But I think these are going to be amazing. We have a whole bunch of new cargo ship encounters to explore, and as well as the unknown signals, which are previously like the little balls of stuff. You go over, press a button, you get a free thing. They are much more complex and much more interesting now. So that is all of the free things. Yes, this episode is going to be very long, considering I'm looking at my recording and realizing we're probably almost like a half an hour in already. However, we're going to continue on. We are going to go into the Fieldwork Pack. Now, of course, this is all cosmetic. You do not need this in order to succeed at the game. But some of the stuff in here is pretty damn cool. And so we are going to take a look at it. We have, first off, lab decorative blocks. Now, these were actually a couple different things on the sort of preview image that they put out. But I lumped them together because they're basically the same. We have various lab desks here. Lab microscope lab desk, normal, chairless lab desk. We've got a chairless lab desk, corner inverted. Lab sink. Oh, we can now wash our hands here. As well as lab cabinet. It's got a freezer with animated doors, which is awesome. As well as a little bit of storage. So if you ever wanted to set up some sort of scenario where you have some item here that needs to be on ice because it's some, like, say, a cure for a disease, and you have to find the disease cure and bring it back to something. That kind of scenario setup. Well, you got a freezer that you can set up and use as the container for that item. And it's all looking good. Next up, we have lab experiments. You got some bubbly vats here. Lab experiment A, B, which is a much bigger bubbly vat, and C, which I need to toggle on. It spins, and it glows, and it shines, and it is very pretty. Also, all of the, well, not that guy. I think this guy only has, because he's lab C. Let me check it here. Lab experiment C, yeah, he doesn't have any adjustments here. But lab experiment A and B, oh, it's just B. Lab experiment A doesn't have it. Just B, we can change the color of things, and we can give it a bigger radius, and we can make it blue. Where's the blue coming from? Ooh, the light up there. So we can get a nice vat of cool blue goo. Whatever this is. Along with that sort of theme of the bubbly vat of something, kind of reminds me of like a Star Wars, a Bacta tank or something like that. we have the lab vat, which actually has conveyor on the back. Because this is a cryopod, we can jump in the vat and we act as a cryopod. Let me bring my camera over here. We are in the pod, suspended in there, like we are in cryo sleep. We're some sort of like experiment that is being worked on. I think that looks really cool, and it's probably going to be my go-to cryopod for the future. Like, this thing just looks good. I love it. Next up, round corridors. So, if you ever wanted a corridor to be more of like a tube, you want to pretend that you're in one of the pipes, one of the conveyor pipes, we have it. We can now make our own Jeffries tubes. Excellent. So we got 7 different versions of them. We have a conversion, which goes from the square corridors into round corridors. So if you ever need to start the round corridors anywhere in your ship, you can use that. We have our basic straight. We have our straight with a light. We have our T intersection, our 90-degree intersection, and our 4-way intersection, which that's pretty much all you need in order to make any layout that you could possibly want, as well as a door that fits within that size. So we got a circular door, which I think looks amazing. Moving on, we have a Lab O2H2 generator, which looks so good. Look at the bubbles, which this is pretty much what you would be doing. You would be pushing electricity through water, and you would be getting the bubbles out of it in order to make the O2 and the H2. And it is the exact same size as a regular O2H2 for the small grid. However, the large grid is a little bigger. We have this additional size up here where you've got the bubble action. However, just like the industrial assembler, I think that this is going to have its place in several of my builds because it looks goddamn awesome. And I am thoroughly excited. Also, just wanted to check to make sure this lab one, it has the same ports, right? As the one on the there, one on the opposite side, and then the pass-through on either side. Because if I look at a normal H2O2, it is the same setup. Exact same setup. It's just that extra bit of cosmetic at the top, which honestly what you could do is you could just bury this part of it in the floor and have this sticking up at the top in some sort of laboratory setting, and it would still look good. Moving on, the lab oxygen tank, which it's a tank, and I think it looks amazing. I love spherical looking tanks, and it's got so many little bars, those holding it in position. It's got the little tubes and the little wheel. It's so cute. And we look at that oxygen tank. We can see that it's got 2 ports on the bottom, so pretty easy to hook up. You just got to get it on the bottom there. I don't believe it has any connection ports on the sides, though. It's similar to like a gyro. If I pop this up into the air just real quick so I'm not getting a false positive from the floor. Oh, we can connect to the sides of it, but we can connect to the top of it as well. Okay, never mind. It is better than I expected. We have the ability to connect all the way around. So this is not like a gyroscope. It is better than I expected. Very good. Moving on. We have the lab hydrogen tank. Very similar to an existing hydrogen tank. We've got the port there on the side, and we just check to make sure there are no ports on the bottom. Take a look at it. Ooh, there is a port on the bottom. So where a normal small hydrogen tank of this size would have a port, one on either side for a pass-through, and that would be it. This is instead in that L configuration with one on the back, one on the bottom. So it'll fit in at different spots within your ship. But I could definitely see you would have this, oh, sorry, pushing you around, I'm sorry. You'd have this butted up against a wall here. So there would be a wall through here, and you would have the tanks butted up against it, and you would conveyor through the wall. Quite understandable way to do it. As well, we have the lab hydrogen tank for small grid. This is the same 5x5x5 of a regular large hydrogen tank on small grid. Same capacity. And I just think this looks way better, because that hydrogen tank is honestly showing its age of its greeble and stuff. This looks awesome. Moving on. We have the... I didn't label this. Come on. This is the pipes blocks. We have several different pipes. 7 of them, to be exact. We have a straight pipes. We have a pipe start block. We have a... What is this? This is pipe straight 2. It's got a little bit of a valve on it. Got a pipes corner, 90-degree corner. Got a pipes end, pipes down, pipes up, and a pipes junction, so that you can junction out your pipes in any direction you wish. I love these blocks. They are obviously not functional. This would be actually really cool if these could be theoretically functional. There'll probably be a mod for that. There'll probably be a mod that takes these kind of things and makes them work and adds like a one that is like goes in and goes up, and then this side is conveyored. That would be really cool. I would love that, but no, these are all just for decoration. But I think it's going to be really good decoration and amazing greeble in factory, industrial, laboratory type settings. Next up, we have our lab sliding door. 2 variants of it. It all depends on what block space you want it to occupy. So, for example, this door is occupying this block space. As well, this door is occupying this block space right here. And you can see that even though they're both occupying the same orientation of block space, one has it be clear glass on this side and the tinted on the other side. This is tinted on this side and clear on the other side. So it's just whether or not you want the glass inverted or not. But nice glass walls can open up to a nice sliding door. These will look great in interiors. You can make, obviously they're called lab sliding doors, but I could see these things being used in any base, as well as possibly even to decorate like nice looking shops at your multiplayer server store or something. Next up is a cargo access terminal in both the half slab and full block inset variety. These guys, you walk up to them, boom, you can access cargo. And it looks like as well they have a little bit of cargo access, like cargo storage themselves, which means take a look at a small cargo container. Small cargo container, 15,000. This says 7,500. This cargo terminal, 15,000. It is the exact same as a small cargo container. Cargo containers and these both have the same amount of resources, it looks like. 4 growth, 20 steel tubes, 75 construction components. Yeah, it's the exact same. So it is essentially a pirate drone searching. I don't like that. Please, pirate drone, please don't search for me. This is essentially just a small cargo container. However, it's got a cool looking port on the side of it. It's a reskin cargo container, and you got it in a half size variety, which I think would actually be very useful because it's only 2 metal grids instead of 4, which if you're doing like a salvage only playthrough or something and you, oh, I found a thing and I got some grids, this is maybe a way that you can make some cargo space without needing a lot of grids. Moving on, we have exhaust caps, which are essentially just the regular old exhaust pipes. It's the same thing. You can go into here, you can go into your exhaust, and you can choose the different exhaust effects and whether or not you want it to have any power dependency as well. Gotta set it to 0 here because this grid really isn't using any power at all. But both large grid and small grid variety for your needs and desires there. Now, it's a way to make the exhaust effects with a much smaller footprint because you do not need this towering exhaust. You just need a tiny little panel. Nice. Moving on, we have the floor blocks, which I am very excited for. Is these, I think, would make really good interior passageways and such. We can line the floor of them. You have a floor center, which is just a full, regular old block. The real cool ones, though, are the floor passage and the floor edge. So the reason being is that we have to look at all of the different sides that they have. So you can see that is like one-sided. So you can like go and rotate this around until you get the side that you need, which is this, and then you can create a path on the floor using these different sides of it. But say you wanted to create a corner or something, you could go there and we could look at one of these little, like the circles there. You could create a dot in the middle if you wanted to. You can create all sorts of patterns this way. That as well, with the floor passage, we have like a straight, and then we can go and change that here to like a junction, and then change that to an end, and change... I really don't like how this thing is searching for me. We got a sort of like a T kind of junction there. Oh, there's the T junction. Like, we got all of the different needs here. There's a 90 degrees. And you can see we can make these paths on the floor. And when we try to paint these, we only paint the path itself. So you know how you, like, when you go to a hospital and it's like, follow the blue line to get to radiology or something like that. You could do that here. Because when you paint it, it won't paint this charcoal gray color. It'll just paint the center, which is awesome. And I love that. Clear this out. But I think the most interesting part, and I wish they would make a whole set for this. We have 3x3 floor slab. This is really good. Just for the fact that it's PCU healthy. If we covered a normal floor with light armor blocks, each block is a PCU, right? So that's 9 PCU for that section of floor. This is a 3x3, same 9 space, but it's only 1 PCU. This is awesome. This is really awesome. It is nowhere near, at least I don't think. These are 2,500 each. It's not as strong as armor, if I'm not mistaken. But if they could add a whole set in the future, a whole set of like 3x3 armors, 5x5 armors, things like that, these slabs of armor, it would make building large stations and bases and ships less PCU intensive, and also it would make it a lot easier to repair, because you can stack multiple welders back behind this floor slab, and even though it's got less integrity, you can get more welders on the back of this floor slab healing the entire thing. And so that would be awesome. We also have the slab itself and the floor center for small grid. And then moving on, that is everything that was from this pack, Fieldwork. We have some additions to the modular bridge set from the Contact Pack. So if you own the Contact Pack as well, and you buy the Fieldwork Pack, and Pirate Drone, please stop searching. I do not like this information. You will get these additional 7 modular bridges added to that. I'm pretty sure these are the 7. I'm just going off of the image that they posted, and not 100% of these are exactly the 7, but I believe they are. It's a 2x1 base, so we're able to do a more gradual angle with our bridge corners, as well as these sloped corner base, both a floorless version that is just connected through that tiny little shaft there, as well as a floored version. I think these are the 7. I believe so. Just going off the image that they provided. But that is going to be it. We have some amazing gameplay and quality of life upgrades for absolutely free. I am going to be, as soon as this video is done recording and uploaded and onto my channel, I'm going to go immediately into a live stream and look at some of these new encounters. But is this DLC worth it to buy? I'd say hell yeah. We've got a lot of great new cosmetic blocks. Some stuff like the lab vat is going to become my go-to for cryopods. Like, this stuff looks good, and I am thoroughly excited to put it to use. But that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching. Good hunting out there, fellow space engineers.